Hey, Julia Barzyk here. So I am taking my own advice, and since I'm on a little bit of a family vacation, I'm not going to talk about getting funded. But this little break has been a good time to think about moving on, especially because I think, about 14 months out from having left a position that I had at a funding organization for many, many years, which was an excellent position for growth, professional growth, intellectual growth, personal growth. And I was very, very privileged to serve in that role. And I did recognize that the whole time I was there. So I was and am very grateful for that opportunity. So having the opportunity to have a job like that, it did take a lot of consideration to move on from it. And obviously I did decide to move on. So some time ago, many years ago, I had read or heard somewhere that, you needed to move on every 2 or 3 years to a new position if you wanted to get a raise. That wasn't something that was really a big concern to me. And then I also heard that after 7 years in a position, maybe you had grown as much as you were going to grow, or, you're sort of leveling out your growth. So it would be good to move on at that point. Now, those numbers don't matter at all. I can't remember where I heard them. I'm not even sure if I heard them or if I just kind of thought that up. I think I heard them somewhere. And that was certainly a while ago. So even if there are numbers like that are kind of like average numbers or just rule of thumb numbers for how long you may be with an organization or with a certain position, they're probably outdated by now. I have no idea. But my point is that moving on is something that I would encourage you to consider if you feel like you're leveling out with your growth in your position, or you feel like you have skills that are not being fully utilized. So I definitely felt like I could grow a lot more in the position that I was in, and I had opportunities to take on different kinds of roles within the government. Again, grateful for those. And certainly many of my colleagues did move on again within the government to new positions where they could exercise new skills, gain new experience, and grow. So moving on can definitely be something that one does within their organization. But in my case, I felt like there were a lot of things that I wanted to do that I knew I needed to do on my own. So for that reason, I decided to go out there on my own. And certainly leaving a workplace that I valued so highly and that allowed me to work with so many talented people, both within my workplace and then, of course, the wonderful PIs from all across the US and really across the world, because we got to work internationally as well. To be able to work with those folks was such an enormous privilege. So moving on from that, it was hard, but and those kinds of colleagues, they don't just appear within a few weeks of leaving a position like that. But actually, now that I'm over a year out, and I have gotten to work with so many talented people that, of course, are equally talented to the folks that I used to work with, in some of them in very similar ways, especially my clients. That's a very similar demographic. And then other folks who are in the world of entrepreneurship, in the world of business, many, many other areas, especially also the research development folks that I've gotten to work with. It's such a welcoming community and such a privilege to get to know and work with all of them like I do now. So my point is that you can regrow colleagues, even if you're like me and you're not in a traditional workplace. Primarily I'm working from home, and I started out just completely on my own, but I do have a team now, and I do have, of course, the folks on that team. I have clients, and I have many other wonderful people to work with. So I'm enormously grateful, and I hope that could serve as a little bit of a confidence boost, or to get you thinking about the next steps, because it definitely can be scary to move on from something that's, especially when that thing is good, especially when you're not really dying to leave the situation. But if your gut is telling you and your heart is telling you that that's something that would make sense for you, if it's at all possible, then I would, financially and geographically and, all the family stuff that we have to consider, because we have those responsibilities. But, maybe talk to your spouse or your partner about it, and maybe they'll be a little bit more supportive than you expect. You never know. After I shared my idea with my husband, who's a very supportive person, for leaving my position and doing what I'm doing now, he said he thought that was a good idea, and then quickly wanted to move the conversation on to what we were going to do for dinner that night. So it was a really easy conversation. So if you do have a spouse or a partner that might support you, try to have those conversations and lean on that person a little bit too. So again, I just wanted to share those words of encouragement. Also want to express gratitude to everybody that I'm able to work with now, because I'm really thrilled to be in the adventure that I'm in now, and had no idea, where I would be now, like 14 months ago. I knew where I wanted to be, and I think I'm there, but I still couldn't paint the picture fully, because you just can't paint the picture fully of the future, even if you can outline what you want it to look like, and I did that. So again, greetings from Southwest Virginia. I made sure to get the beautiful rhododendron in the shot. If you've been to this part of the country, you'll recognize them. So look forward to giving you some more content on the funding process when I'm back to Durham.